why you cannot want success more for one of your team members more than they do. And I got to tell you, this one is probably going to hit home if you've ever experienced this. If this is your first time visiting the channel and you are looking to do big, fat, juicy wholesale deals, you want an extremely profitable wholesale business. You want to have a team that operates in the day-to-day without you, and you want a huge profit margin with a very large bank account. And by the way, hint, hint, that's like 1% of wholesalers. You are in the right place and the right community. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you've known that I've done close to 1,400 deals. I've been in this game since 2002, and I've trained the nation's top wholesalers from coast to coast, from top to bottom. So if you want to be in the 1%, welcome. So head on over to nextlevelwholesaling.com, and I've got an assessment there that you've got to take. It's going to rate you in the 4 core areas of your wholesaling business. That's marketing, acquisition, disposition, and accounting. And once you take this thing, it takes 5 minutes. It's super quick. It's going to be abundantly clear on where you're at on the next thing that you need to do to get off that treadmill, to get off those tiny little profit deals, to explode your deal size, all right, and start to live a life of freedom. So go to nextlevelwholesaling.com and take that assessment. All right, let's talk about why you cannot want success for your team members more than they want it for themselves. And the first thing that I'm going to tell you is why you cannot do this. I used to be Captain Save a Sales Rep. And what does that mean? I thought that there were people who were down on their luck or were never given a good opportunity. And all of a sudden they were going to come into my organization and I was going to motivate them to all of a sudden become rock stars. And I got to tell you that nothing is further from the truth. And I'm going to tell you a very, very good story here, and some of you will get a good chuckle. For those of you who know me well, or you've been watching this channel, you know that I grew up as a huge fan of the New York Jets and the New York Football Jets, and my father did, all my brothers, and it was a very, very painful existence because they do a lot more losing than winning. And growing up, my dad always had this idea that he was going to find the best offensive lineman in the world. He was going to go to a truck stop on the I-95. That's the main freeway that goes from Florida all the way up to New York. He's going to go to a truck stop and recruit big, giant truck drivers and turn them into offensive linemen. So, you know, get them to stop eating donuts and sandwiches and get them in the weight room and turn them into absolute beasts, and then get them to go to the NFL to play for the New York Jets. This was like his dream, and he was talking about it my entire childhood. And as I got older, I started to realize that this was a really, really bad idea. And there's a reason why, you know, the New York Jets, who have, you know, probably $1 billion in salary cap space. I don't know how much they pay their players per year combined, but it's a lot of money, wouldn't do something like this. And the reason why they don't is because the players who want to be there, all right, the people who want to play football in the NFL are already playing in college and trying out for NFL teams, right? They're lifting weights, they're training hard, they're trying out for the team, they're showing up. They want to be there. And so you're not going to find someone who's on the street driving a truck or working at a moving company to all of a sudden say, you know what, I want to play for the New York Jets. It seems ridiculous, right? Because I had a conversation with my dad this morning, and I said, Dad, you know what your truck driver idea? I said, this is why it doesn't work. Because those people who want to play are already trying to get in. And the people who don't, you're going to want it more for them than they want it for themselves. And I thought that that was a really, really good analogy for today's episode. Hopefully you got a good kick out of that. And so I remember that I would bring in good sales reps, and I would bring in, you know, people who had been in, you know, 4 sales jobs in the last 5 years, or they're like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I'm trying to discover myself, and I want to be on a sailboat all day and get passive income. And that's why I want to be a real estate investor. And I'm like, these are the worst people to hire, The people who you want to bring into your organization are dying to work for you. They're saying, I will work all day and all night. I will be on the phone. I will soak up the information. I will take the system that you have. I want to learn from your system success and make that happen to make as much money as possible. Now, specifically, I'm talking about sales, right? And the acquisition role. But that could also be in other roles, right? If someone's a lead manager, they want to learn everything about that position. Perhaps they're not as money motivated, but they want to be that position. They're like, I want to work from home. I love talking on the phone. I love the predictability that you've got a system and you've got leads. Let's do this. If you're hiring a good virtual assistant, they're going to be like, I love administrative work. I love to organize. I like to put things in their place. I love to file. I love to create systems. This is what they do. You don't try to motivate somebody. A sign that you have somebody in your organization whom you want success more than they want it for themselves is they drain you. Right? You talk to them, and after you talk to them, you feel absolutely drained. Like they took a vacuum, put it on your energy system, and going. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, I'm tired. Some of you are watching this on YouTube. You're like, Todd, you're nuts. If you're listening on the podcast, you didn't get the visual on that. Hopefully you got a good picture from the audio. But they suck your energy. When you've got someone good on your team and they want to be there, they give you energy on the contrary. So that is the first sign that you are working with someone who you want it more than they do. Okay. The second thing that is a good sign that you want it more than somebody else is if they keep on asking you the same thing over and over and over again, right? Or you're having to have the same conversation with somebody over and over and over again. So for example, let's say you have a sales rep and they're not making 60 calls a day and you have to have that conversation like 3 times. Or let's say they don't show up on time or they show up 15 minutes late and they're working in the office and you've got to have that conversation 3 times. By the way, if they work for me, they'd be out of the office. But that's a good sign. If you have to tell an administrative assistant or a VA that they need to communicate at the beginning of their day, at the back of the day, and they're not doing that, guess what? They don't really want it more than you. Okay. On the contrary, if you've got someone who really, really wants it, they are constantly going to be asking you questions, right? They're going to be like, bam, 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 and ask you questions all day long and wearing you out in a different kind of way, right? Wearing you out, like maybe physically, but energy, you're like, man, this person is going to be good. Second sign, especially for sales rep, that you want it more than they do is they are constantly distracted by other opportunities, right? They are online and listening to podcasts in the real estate industry about, the latest strategies or buying boring businesses, right? I know that's a hot thing right now. Or passive income through, Forex or whatever that is, but they're looking at another opportunity because what they see in front of them is not enough, right? They think your opportunity is subpar already. And so a good sign is like they're always looking ahead. They're always looking to change strategies. Even from within, they want to do a different role than they are in. And that's a very, very, very good sign, okay? And that you want it more than them. Very, very, very important. And here's my third step, and this is a biggie. Okay, and I do this sometimes to test, is I will do training sessions. I'll say, hey, we're doing a bonus training session right here. I know that it's going to make you a ton more money. It's totally voluntary. We're going to have it at 8 a.m. And if you have people who show up to these sessions and other people who don't, right, you don't make it mandatory, it's very obvious who you will see, the people who want to be there and the people who don't. I got to tell you, yes, you might be able to get some productivity out of a person who doesn't want to be there. And you could drag them kicking and screaming, and you could put a fire underneath their underneath their butt to get them to perform in the short run. But I got to tell you what, they're always going to go back to that default. So do not wear yourself out. Do not beg. Do not push. Do not try to save people who are not obsessed with working with you. I know sometimes you don't want to do the work of firing somebody and then rehiring somebody. It's work. It sucks. But I got to tell you, over the long run, it is one of the best decisions that you can do. Replace it with people who want to be inside your organization and work with you. Okay, Dad, I'm sorry to tell you, you're not going to find a new offensive line for the New York Jets by going to truck drivers. You got to look for people who want to be there, and you got to do the same for your wholesaling business. So today's episode is pretty fired up. It is football season, so this talk is going on a lot in my family. So hopefully it resonated. I'd love to hear some of your stories if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you want to hit me up on Instagram, or if you're listening to this on a podcast at Todd Toback. And let me know your stories of people who want to be there, people who don't, or how you can tell if someone wants to be there or they don't. Don't forget to check out nextlevelwholesaling.com. And if you are looking to double your deal size, you want bigger profits, you want to close deals in a much quicker timeline, you want to love talking to sellers and get rid of the tire kickers, check out our sales system that I use to train my salespeople. Go to nolimitsalessystem.com/backdoor if you want to skip the sales letter and all that. That'll take you right to the checkout page, nolimitsalessystem.com/backdoor. And I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye.